All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle elders, a great millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you brothers out there pushing this word in love, truth, sincerity, and humility. Once again, it's Brother Shatia from the Chicago camp coming back to you with what I hope is another quick and edifying. Sit down, and I'm going to start off with Ecclesiasticus 25. And it says, "There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy." And that's exactly what we're seeing right now as this divine Hollywood script comes to an end. We're seeing the downfall of our enemy, and we're seeing our enemy in a very peculiar trick bag. Okay, they are now at the point where they have to bleed. They have to bleed either way it goes. And you might say, well, what do you mean by that? You see, due to the events and decisions that are being made by the Commander in Chief of the United States, the world is looking at America with a fine microscope. Okay? The people of America are looking at America with a very fine microscope. All right? And the nation of Edom, they're looking at themselves with a very fine microscope, because now, as I said, they're in a very peculiar situation, because either they have to, one, they either have to do what is white and stick with the status quo, which means you will be hated. You will be known for being a flat out blatant racist and all these other things. Or you can fight for what's, or they can fight for what's right, even if it's for their own selfish intentions. See, they may not care or have too much concern about the plight of other people, but they may still deep inside want to maintain some semblance of a civil society. But the thing is, both of those things will come at a price, which means now you have a great division amongst the people. And as we all know, the scripture says that if a nation be divided, in Matthew 17, see, I know it was kingdom. It actually should be kingdom. We'll do this Mark 3 and if a kingdom be, Matthew 3 and 24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And that's what we have right now. We have great division going on in Babylon the snake, to where we have, as quoted, I believe it's in the book of Isaiah, where he said, I will cause the 19 and 2. And it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And this is what we have. We have the nation of Edom fighting amongst themselves. All right. They're at a tipping point in their history where they have to either fight for what's white or they have to fight for what's right, even if it's for their own selfish purpose. Either way it goes, they're going to have to bleed. There's no way that they can duck and dodge this one. They can't be a coward about it. You can't be a coward and say, no, I'm not going to get into it, or I'm going to just see which side wins and then I'm going to take over. It's not going to work out that way. Everything is set up to a point where a line is now been drawn in the sand, and every single Edomite has to look and self-reflect and analyze amongst themselves like, damn, what the hell do we do? We have a situation that was created by evil, wicked Edomite men that we took advantage of for years, and now we're looked at with a fine-tooth microscope. We're looked at as the scum of the earth. And now this country that we so-called love so much has fallen by the wayside. And now we run the risk of our Edomite privilege being gone. So what do we want to do? Do we want to fight for what's white, or do we want to fight for what's right? And see, this is caused in verse 3, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst of thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. Okay, that mighty spirit of America being the best place in the world, and land of the free and home of the brave and the moral beacon and light of the world, all of that shit is done. That is completely done. Because of the commander-in-chief's actions, this nation has never been as divided as it's been in the past year. This man's only been in office for a year. Okay? You got Edomite women divorcing their husbands. All right? You have families that are breaking up, people who are going no contact with family, disowning parents, disowning children, disowning cousins and nieces. I mean, the stuff that has happened in the past year has been on a scale that we've never seen, as far as just pure hell being put on the nation of Edom. And see, the Lord said that all this would happen in the latter days, when you go to Deuteronomy 30:7, when it tells you that, and Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Because for quite some time, all the nations, especially bad Uncle Esau, so-called white man, the wild man, okay, they relished in seeing the destruction of the Israelite community. They relished in the fact that the man was against the woman was against the man, that it was hard to keep a stable and morally upright family structure, that we barely got jobs and we were getting beat and lynched and redlined and disenfranchised. They relished in the fact that when we tried to fight for these things, they would just mow us down. They relished in the fact that when we did say, hey, we're going to leave you alone and do our own thing, and they just said, well, we're just going to take you out, they relished in these type of things. But now the Lord is putting all these calamities on you. The nation of Edom is in complete disarray. And as I said, they're in such a case of chaos and disruption that, as I said, now they have to stand 10 tones down. They have to fight. The average Joe Six-Pack Edomite has to fight now. He has to bleed. He has to risk being homeless. He has to risk being jobless. He has to risk not being able to make it back home. He has to risk possibly being ostracized and being made fun of because he either wants to stick up for what's white or for what's right. And see, that's why the Lord said, with the curses falling on me, drink cup. Jeremiah 49:12. And it says, for thus saith Yahweh power, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. For I have sworn by myself, saith Yahweh, that Basra, all right, I believe if my memory serves me correctly, that's the capital city of Edom. Basra shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. See, as the scripture says, they thought that the Lord was altogether like them. See, Edom thought that the Lord was dealing with them. No, it's just the Lord was punishing us. And Edom did so much wickedness in their time that they thought that this wickedness wouldn't come back on them. But Galatians 6:7 says completely different. And as I said, now they're at the point where now they have to fight. They have to bleed. They're going to have to go and deal with losses the same way Jake has. See, they thought that they would be in such a case that they would be able to enjoy their status without repercussions, without consequences, without having to pay a price for it. And now we're at the point where that price is going to come with blood, as prophesied by the scripture. Ezekiel 35, and I'm going to start at 5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword, which is what Edom did in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Because see, not only did the Lord set you up to punish us, but when you had the chance to say, all right, we done got you back for the dark ages and all that other good stuff, now you can just go ahead and do your thing. No, you guys doubled down, and you kept doubling down and doubling down and doubling down and doubling down. And it says, therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh power, I will repair thee into blood, and blood shall pursue thee. See, if thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. And we're at the time where your own blood is going to have to be shed for the wickedness that you have done. You guys talk about how you love the fact that you got that you are superior, that you got all these high IQs, and that you're strong, and you got these big old guns, and you ready to use them. Well, I'm glad you feel that way, because now you're going to have to use it on each other. Because the time has come. As I said before, the line is drawn in the sand for the nation of Edom. You're either going to fight for what's white, or you're going to fight for what's right, even if it's for your own selfish ambition. So that's all I wanted to say on this. I hope you all were edified. Till the next time, we're going to say Shalom.